Hello Year 10 and welcome to week 5 of physical landscapes in the UK, particularly focusing on coasts. Now, this week's learning we're going to be looking at depositional features. Last week we looked at erosional features. Now the textbook pages you will require on the next slide are 100 to 101. Now what we're going to do in today's lesson is identify the main depositional features and explain how they have been formed using processes. So obviously you have your PowerPoint open at the same time as watching this video, but you will find all of the resources that you require on this page here. So it might be worth having a quick read through this just before we begin. Okay, so let's get started. Now, hopefully you've already read page 100. Now, what we're going to look at first is types of beaches. Now, there are two types of beaches, and I'd like you to make some notes from the textbook on here. You have a sandy beach, which is generally gently sloping, and they usually are quite gentle, as I say, whereas the shingle beaches are a much steeper gradient, and you can see that in photographs A and B. Now, particularly sandy beaches are formed with constructive waves that build up that sediment. Now I want you to have a little look at this one, Hunstanton. Would you say it's sandy and gentle? And also I'd like you to see what different engineering strategies you can see in there. Did you spot those groins? Okay, we'll come back to those. Aldborough, you can see here, is a steep and shingle beach. Now I'd like you to pause the video here and have a little watch of this video, which is a virtual tour of the best beaches in England, coined as the English Riviera. And when you're watching it, I want you to think about, are they sandy or shingle beaches? So are they flat sandy beaches or more steeper shingle beaches? Okay, next task. What am I and how was I formed? Pause the video here and have a think about, what is this? Aha, it is a sand dune. Now hopefully you've already read through page 100. There's a video at the top, so you can pause my video and watch this one, which will give you a little bit of an explanation, or a very detailed explanation should I say, in just a few minutes of what these sand dunes are. Now you can either print off, if you've got a printer, or just draw the diagram of the dunes from their very early stage, known as their embryonic stage, a bit like a baby, and through to their climax as their fully grown mature stage. Now there are some annotations here which I would like you to add to your diagram that you have drawn in the correct places. Now you'll see here that I have put them on there, so hopefully you were correct when you did it. Now the grasses that grow on these dunes really stabilise the dunes and keep them stationary so they don't just get blown away by wind erosion, and they're called marram grasses. And the further back, the older the dunes are, the more vegetated they are and the more colonised they become with different types of vegetation. So, as I say, there are different stages of the dune formation that you need to be aware of. So the embryonic stage through to the development of the grasses known as marram grasses, and then obviously the more fertility comes with the dying and decaying of vegetation, and then the growth of new vegetation. Okay, number 2. What am I and how was I formed? Well, hopefully you're thinking I'm a spit. Now, I'd like you to pause the video here and watch this tour of a spit and what they actually are. Now, another depositional feature, they stick out at a change of bend or curve in a coastline, and that process of longshore drift just elongates that deposition, and they stick out like a finger. And then behind them, behind the groin, they are protected and sheltered where salt marshes form. So I'd like you to make a copy of the diagram with all the annotations. You can see your process of longshore drift there, elongating that spit at the change or sudden change in the shape of the coastline. There's another video here which I would suggest you watching, which will just further inform you of how this process and how this is actually formed. Now, there are a few others you need to know. So we know about spit, but we're going to focus on the bar and the tombolo. So I want you to have a little look. We know about spit at the top of the diagram, but tombolos are actually where a spit is formed, but actually beyond the changing coastline, there's actually another area of land. So the deposition joins one area or one headland to another small island. Whereas a bar, on the other hand, as you can see down the bottom, there is usually a lagoon area, which is a sheltered area, and then the sands build up and act as sort of a barrier in front of the lagoon. Now I'd like you to draw diagrams of the lagoon and the bar as well as the spit. Now just going back to the spit very quickly, you'll notice that where a spit forms there is no other land adjoining to it. It's usually the mouth of a river, and the reason it stops growing and stops continuing along as a bar is usually because another direction of wind will come and curve the end of the spit there. And also you've got the flow of the river coming out of the mouth as seen in the top of the diagram just here. As that water is coming out into the sea, it's stopping that spit growing or going all the way across. So using the knowledge that you have and the information at the bottom, I'd like you to complete the fill in the blanks activity, please. So pause me here. The answers are on the next slide if you need any support. Okay, so exam question time. So we've got a 6 marker to do here. Now we must remember that this is a figure-based question. It is asking you to just choose one landform. So you've got a beach, a bar that you can see. You've got a spit as well. So there's lots of different things that you could potentially talk about here. So first of all, you have to think about which one you're going to do. Now you need to state the landform you're going to explain about in this first of all, and then like a normal 6 marker you will use all your processes and then you will conclude at the end. So here are some ideas for you to think about and some processes. This is what the structure should look like. Now I'd like you to have a go at this question, please, picking one of the formations to explain how they're actually formed. And obviously on the preceding slides after this, you can actually look and self-assess your answer and or send it to me via Teams for me to mark as well, please. So here you will find a model answer and some targets for improvement. And again, you will find them based on a bar and a beach formation too. And then lastly, there are some activities from the textbook that I would like you to have a go at. And I've also created some model answers for you on the subsequent slides to help you with that. But as mature learners, hopefully you will attempt them yourself first on the PowerPoint and then self-assess and or send them to me to mark. So the last thing is we're going to look for our plenary. Which of the depositional features are we looking at? So spit, bar or tombolo. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So spit. Spit, bar or tombolo. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, you'll probably notice another island at the end adjoining to the deposition. So this must be a tombolo. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is a very long example of a bar. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This one here again, you can see a bar formation. And here you can see a tombolo because we're adjoining to an island off of the end. And lastly, another tombolo that you can see there because that deposition has come to an end because of an obstacle in the way. Very well done, everyone. I look forward to seeing what you produce. Please submit this to me on Teams. Take care.